Barnstable High School earns top honors. The capital improvement plan is ready for review, and it's time to turn in your annual census. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Monday, March 23rd, 2015. I'm Sarah Mantle. Barnstable High School is named this year's Joshua Boger Innovative School of the Year. The Massachusetts Biotechnology Education Foundation chose BHS because of its commitment to engage students at all levels with hands-on biotechnology experiences. BHS science teachers Beth Anderson and Valerie Latine will accept the award Thursday morning in Cambridge. The capital improvement plan for the next fiscal year is complete. Town manager Tom Lynch says there are more than 40 projects proposed in this year's plan.
Tom, let's get into the capital improvement plan,
well,
also called the CIP.
CIP.
And before we start, I have to ask you, how long have you been working on this year's, or next year's actually, fiscal year CIP? How long have you been working on that?
Well, it's a year-round effort, particularly the capital plan, because we're always looking at the projects to see where we are in terms of the previous capital improvement projects that have been, passed by the town council, where we are in the stage with that. And then, of course, we're always looking ahead to see what needs to be done. This is a 5-year plan that we're actually going to stretch out now because we want to be sure that our monies last us and that we're spending them wisely. So we're probably going to expand that to more like a 10-year plan that we're looking at. And one thing that this year's plan does is I'll be mentioning in the presentation some of the projects that have not even appeared yet on the listing, but are areas that people are working very hard on, and we could anticipate something happening. For instance, the Armory does not appear on here, but we'd like to be able to, at some point in time, lease that facility out. We may need to be putting some of those projects in. We have the Ostro Bay fields improvements and the buildings that are out there, and perhaps a new community building, and that does not appear anywhere in our 5-year plan that we've listed out. There are certain dredging projects in Cotuit and other areas that aren't listed in here, but we may need to put them in. So even when someone reads this, it's a plan that can be amended at any point in time. So if we need to look ahead to something that's coming along, it may jump into the line ahead of someone else. But what we do with the with this year's plan is there'll be a summary of the past 4 years, so folks who are studying this can look back and see what we've appropriated, where we are in the stage of that.
I wanted to ask you about that. The capital improvement plan it goes into a vote by the town council, and people may look at this and say, gee, we voted to allow this to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So the capital improvement plan doesn't happen overnight.
No, there may be projects in here that have design and construction. There may be projects that are just design. There may be permits that are needed to put everything in place. So once the money is secured, then, and that can often take several months after the plan is adopted, then we begin implementing these projects. One consistent feature that we have each year is the road work. So the council has been very good about appropriating, monies for road work each. Why don't I go into some of those projects?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah.
What we've got. So this year's proposal, we have 43 proposals this year, totaling over $27 million. So this is a very robust plan that we're putting in place this year. We have enterprise funds and we have the general fund. Under the enterprise funds, we have 23 proposals, and under the general fund, we have 20 proposals. We'll be presenting these to the town council over the next month, probably doing all of them at once in terms of the enterprise accounts, and then also if you've got DPW general funds, for instance, we'll do the DPW enterprise funds and then the general fund. The distinction between the two is that I think is easy to think about is that the enterprise funds support themselves through fees and other things like that, not general fund money, not your tax dollar.
And Lynch will continue to discuss the capital improvement plan on Barnstable this morning during his Monday interview. We will, of course, keep you updated on when a public hearing is scheduled. It's time to fill out your annual census. To find out more, I talked with Town Clerk Ann Quirk. We have really an important matter to discuss today because the census was recently sent out. And this is, some people may be confused because this is actually a second census that we need to fill out.
A census is sent out every year by the clerks in all towns in the state of Massachusetts. It's a mandate by the state of Massachusetts. There is a federal census that's done every 10 years, and that information can be found on a website actually. But that census is very special in that they send someone out door to door to make sure we're counting all of our people in all of our towns in the United States.
Why is it so important to have this census completed?
It's so important for us in the state of Massachusetts because we use that for our backup for our voter system. If we don't know that you're still here, we assume that you're not a part of the voter system anymore, which it makes it difficult for you when you go to the polls if you haven't filled out your census because we have you as inactive and you have to prove where you live, and it's a pain for you. But more importantly for us in this town and in every town, it tells us how many children are out there that are going to be entering the school systems. It tells us how many people we have in the town, what kind of grants we can go for because of our town size and demographics. It's really, really important.
Wow, I didn't know that the census accomplished all of those things. That's quite a varied list of things to happen. Mm-hmm. One thing, if you haven't received your census, you need to call.
Please, 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 please call us, 508-862-4044. We want to catch it and get you straightened out, make sure that your stuff is all updated. Please, please, please call us.
Now, are there some frequent things that people may mess up when they're filling out their census, or they may miss when they're filling out their census? What are the important things that we need to know before sending that in?
The most important thing is you have to sign the bottom of your census. If you don't sign it, it's not a true census. It has to have your signature. Now, if you've moved, we need to know that. And if you can just tell us that on the census, we'll be happy to take care of that for you. And is everyone moving? Is it just the head of household that's moving, or is it the whole family that's moving? So we need to know that information, and that very often kind of gets lost in transition. So if everyone is moving to a new household, we really want to know to be able to move you. And if one of your relatives has moved away, you have a son or a daughter who went away to school, came back home, and now all of a sudden they have a job out in Colorado. It's really important for us to know that too, because now they're going to establish themselves in Colorado and probably want to become a voter in Colorado. So that's information we really need to know. And if you have any questions, just call.
Wonderful. And then when is the deadline? When do we have to have them in by?
Well, the deadline is a hard thing to say. We'd like to say the deadline is when you get it, but we use that information, for those of you who don't know, we use that information for the street address guide and the names of all the voters. So we'd like to have it done so that at the end of this fiscal year, I can have a new book created that has the list of residences and the list of streets.
Great. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today and telling us everything we need to know about filling out that very important census.
Well, you're most welcome, and call us anytime.
And again, if you have any questions about the census, you can contact the town clerk's office. Well, the planning board meets tonight at 7 in the town hall hearing room. The Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee meets at 7 as well. That meeting will take place in the Growth Management Conference Room. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald. We'll talk with State Representative Tim Whalen, and we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.